Hey guys, just want to share a next level pillar that I think is beneficial to all. I get asked all the time, Bob, how did next level pillars come about? When did it start? When did you start sharing them? When did you start creating them? I've got over 150 of them now. And it started probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago, where I just started writing down things that were thoughts or things that I felt would benefit other people if they just understood certain things. And so I literally got to the point where I just started writing them down and thinking about them and then sharing them and then putting them on flashcards and carrying them around with me and started thinking if I could just start implementing these thoughts, I would be a lot better off. But here's one of the things that really kind of struck me over the years is how many times we get these great thoughts or quotes or memes sent to us, and we go, "Oh, that's really good," and then before we can even implement it, before we can even take action and utilize it, we end up hearing another one or we see another one, and we've never even taken action on one of them. So what I did was I created these called next level flashcards. How do we learn math? How do we learn multiplication? All that stuff. Flashcards, right? So what I did was I created these flashcards where the flashcard has on one side the pillar, and on the back it has ways to implement that pillar. And the idea was to carry that flashcard with me every day for an entire week. And in the course of that week, begin to implement it over and over and over again. And what happens is at the end of that week, you've integrated it at least 5 to 7 times, and it begins to stick. It has the ability to transform your life, the way you think, and the way you feel. So I did that for many years on my own for myself. Then I started, and sometimes there were other people's quotes, things like that. Then I started using them and saying, how can I do this with the thoughts, the original thoughts that I have? And these became next level pillars. And these pillars are something that sometimes they're personal, sometimes they're professional, sometimes they're relational, sometimes they're spiritual, sometimes they have to do about finances, sometimes they have to do with about all kinds of different areas of our lives that are important to us. And the greatest thing that came out of that was the ability to help people integrate different thoughts. And so over the course of the years, created a lot of them. And here's one that is a popular one with a lot of people. And I get quoted it back to me a lot of times. People, Bob, I remember when you said blank, and we'll talk about the quote. And the quote is this: avoidance is not the same thing as resolution. Avoidance is not the same as resolution. Whew, man. Boy, I tell you, even when I say it, I convict myself sometimes about that. Where have I put off? Where have you put off? Where have we as a society put off because we thought, well, I'll just get to it later. It's not, I don't know that I want to get involved in that right now. Or I'm not so sure that I want to take an action on that or take a stance or a position on that. Well, one thing I know for sure is when I started evaluating some of those areas and I wrote down this avoidance is not the same thing as resolution, I began to be convicted, but I also began to see a lot of people go, wow, I've been putting things off. I've just been avoiding that. Maybe it's avoiding a difficult conversation with somebody at your work. Maybe it's a difficult conversation with somebody within your family. And you just became you just avoided it. And the problem with that is it didn't resolve the issue. It didn't even fix a part of the issue. It just avoided it. It swept it under the rug, if you will. So let me ask you this. Where is the idea of avoidance the biggest in your life right now? We can't tackle everything in our lives, but there's an area that right now that you go, man, it's really costing me, in the area of maybe finances, in the area of maybe that relationship that you have, or maybe the business that you have, or the avoidance of starting something because you're waiting for it to be perfect or waiting for it to be the right thing. Whatever it is, Where is avoidance the biggest concern for you? And then let's look at that one thing. What can you do today, not only today, but right now, to start taking in an action in that area? So when I talk about next level flashcards, a lot of those have my pillars, but a lot of those have other people's goals. When I start talking about flashcards, or when I start talking about the next level pillars, um, I get asked to quote pillars all the time. I might be at a networking event. Somebody will, Bob, hey, give me a next level pillar. Or somebody may say, Bob, do you have a next level pillar for this? Do you have a next level pillar for my kids, or for my relationship, or for my finances, for my business? And so this idea of next level pillars is kind of a thing that I've used as a building blocks. It's been something that I've used for myself, and it's effective. I know that it's effective because it's worked on me, as well as it's effective because I know it's worked on others as well. So, maybe you're sitting there today going, okay, Bob, I get it. I've been avoiding this. I'm done. I'm sick and tired. I want to be done. Great. Let's do something about it. Not next week, not next month, not next year, but today, right now, let's do something about it. What's that area? Go ahead and type it in. What's that area of your life where you've been avoiding? Maybe it's a mild avoidance. Maybe it's just like, I just don't feel like it. It's just inconvenient. We have to build up the muscle so that even when we don't feel like it, we have that difficult conversation. Even when we don't feel like holding that boundary in our life, we hold it anyways. Even when we think, it might hurt somebody's feelings if I have this boundary, maybe it's exactly what we need to do in holding that boundary. So what is it in your life, personally or professionally? And then 2, what's one action step you can take today that will move you forward in the area of that avoidance, whatever that is? Because remember this, avoidance is not the same as resolution. Enjoy your next life.